How's it going, Rogues Gallery? Today we're going to be opening up and reviewing Ready, Set, Umamusume, the latest starter deck for Shadowverse Evolve. We're going to talk about whether or not this deck is worth it for you as a new player, whether it's worth it for you as an established Shadowverse Evolve player, and kind of everything in between. This deck does have 3 different cards that are 100% unique to this starter deck, not including the leader here, so we have a lot to talk about. There's also some other kind of unique value that lies within this deck, and if you didn't follow the Shadowverse competitive scene at all, you might not know that Umamusume is actually one of the most powerful, if not the single most powerful archetype currently in Shadowverse Evolve. So keep that in mind as we open this starter deck up and talk about all of the cards inside, because this deck, at even the base level, is quite powerful. In fact, one of the members of our Rogues Gallery Discord, and if you would like to join, you can join, we have links down below, but they said they forgot to bring their Shadowverse Evolve cards to their local event. So they just brought this starter deck and actually ended up getting second place with this starter deck fresh from the box. So this is powerful. Let's open it up and talk about all of the great things to be had inside. If you like what I'm doing here, if you like the Shadowverse Evolve content, hey, maybe leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let's help grow Shadowverse Evolve English to the biggest it can possibly be. Now, enough of that. Let's open up the deck. All right, so before we get started, I do want to mention just kind of like the overall presentation of the product, because I think the box actually looks very, very nice. I think Bushiroad and Shadowverse Evolve more specifically, they do a great job of making their products look just really, really good. We also have a complete deck list on the back, so just in case you were curious as to what comes inside, hey, maybe you can like screenshot this and just kind of take a look at it. But we also see here that these 3 cards are the unique cards that come in this deck specifically, as well as the leader. And we have some things to talk about when it comes to the leader. And I think it's one of the things that makes this deck in particular one of the absolute best Shadowverse Evolve decks to get in general. Though this is true for all Shadowverse Evolve decks. And that is, simply put, you have to have a leader to play Shadowverse. And that's just kind of like how it works. You gotta have a leader to play Shadowverse. And unless you pull one of the really fancy leaders that come in the booster sets, well, you're gonna need to get yourself a starter deck leader. But as you can see, this one is actually very fancy and foil already, which is awesome. You get a really cool one in this product. We're not gonna really go over this. This is just kind of stuff that is just kind of essential, right? So you have like your little punch out sheet if you want to keep track of this stuff physically, if you don't want to use the companion app. You also have like a little quick how to play manual right here that just kind of like really quickly goes over all the cards, the new mechanics. I did a whole video covering the new race mechanic and carrots and all that kind of stuff. You can check that out over on the channel. Maybe I'll have a description, a link in the description down below if you want to check that video out, as well as a little kind of just a rudimentary play mat. But this isn't really what we're gonna talk about here. Also, a life counter. And the deck is out of its plastic prison. It does have this little tab that's holding all the cards together. So we're gonna kind of like gently remove that. And now the deck is finally free. And immediately I do want to mention the quality of the leader card. It does kind of have a loose bit of texturing on it. Not quite as much as the really fancy ones that you pull from booster packs, but still very, very nice. I actually think this is really, really cool, and she looks fantastic. But also, this is one of the biggest, pulls of this starter deck, is that if you want to play the Umamusume deck archetype, this is almost a must-buy unless you just buy a case. Or if you really, really want to buy singles, and then you really want to buy specifically, you'll have to buy your own leader as well. So, with that said, let's kind of check out this leader. So I did pull up the companion app here. We're going to scan card, and we're going to scan special week here. Nice. And so we're going to choose, you can choose to play her, by the way, as either Dragoncraft or as Uma. So we're going to choose Uma, and then we're going to start game. And so now you can see she's here in the game, which is great. So that's how it works. You have all of your voice lines. Yeah, let's do it. So yeah, just kind of wanted to show that off real quick. And yeah, that is one of the big draws of this. You do get the leader card, which you have to play Shadowverse Evolve. The next big draw here are the Legendaries. So you actually get several Legendaries in this that are Legendaries that are available in the Umamusume booster set. So this actually is really great value for you if you just want to play the Umamusume deck. So you can buy this starter deck and then just upgrade with the cards that you need. Also, some of these cards are really, really good in their archetypes. So Silent Suzuka here is actually a very, very good Forest Craft card outside of the Umamusume deck. So it actually comes with Silent Suzuka and one of her evolved versions. You also have Tokai Teo, which is a very, very good card in Swordcraft, actually. I'll be running maybe a full playset, 2 or 3 Tokai Teos in my Swordcraft deck. So this is just an absolutely fantastic card. So you have her as well as the Evo version. You also have Special Week. This is a must-have staple for the Uma deck. So if you're going to be building just the Uma deck, then getting a full playset of the Special Weeks is really, really important. Also comes with the Evo version. And then you also have Tazuna Hayakawa. And I do believe this is one of the unique cards that only comes in the starter deck. So this is the only place to get this card is in this starter deck. And you can tell there's a slight difference between some of these Legendaries because this one, the one that's unique to this deck, has this gold kind of like raised stamp name, whereas all the other ones that come in the booster set do not. So you can kind of differentiate between which ones come in the booster set and which ones come in the starter decks by the names right there. So yeah, keep that in mind. So so basically you get one of each of these and then their Evo versions. And these are going to be useful for both the Uma deck as well as the non-Umamusume deck, except for this one. Special Week is basically just for the Uma deck. And then we have the Tazuna. So we get a full playset of the Tazuna. Then we also have Aishin Flash. So one thing that you're going to notice here is you're going to see a lot of single copies of cards in this deck. And I will say right now, the easy way to tell if a card is unique to this deck is if it comes with a full 3 of playset. So we're just going to kind of go through these very, very quickly. We're not going to talk about the mechanics of all of the cards because there's a lot of singles, but just know this is a very powerful deck and it's actually quite good out of the box. So, and I wanted to say that these cards also very much synergize with each other. So yeah. So we have the Aishin Flash, we have Trial Initiation. This card is restricted to a 1-of copy in the Uma deck because it is very, very powerful, so keep that in mind. The Lamplet Training is actually a staple for not just Uma, but for Runecraft, so this is a great card to get, but it's just a silver, so you can pick it up as singles pretty easily. We have Tamamo Cross, My Solo Drawn to Raindrop Drums is a pretty good card in the Abysscraft deck. We have Fate's Forecast, Marvelous Sunday, Haru Urara, got a couple of her. We have Narita Taishin. We have Samboli Rudolph, got a couple copies of her. We have Biko Pegasus, Kawakami Princess. We have Tosin Jordan, Narita Top Road, Grass Wonder. As you can see, they're all Umamusume characters. Super Creek, Kurin-chan. There is another restricted card, and I don't remember if it comes in this deck or not, but if it does, we'll point it out when the time comes. We have Twin Turbo, Sakura Chiono O, or Zero, Majuro Dober, Majuro Arden, TM Opera Zero, got a couple copies of her. Riko Kashimoto, I do believe, yeah, this is one of the cards that is exclusive to the Umamusume starter deck, and as you can see, it comes in a full playset. We'll put that to the side here. And then I do believe this is the other one. Aoi Kiryuin? I'm really bad with the names, I apologize. And this one also comes on a full playset as well. And then you also have your Evo deck full of carrots. This does come with, 7 carrots, which makes sense because these take up slots in your Evo deck. So you have 7 of these, as I knock the camera, plus your 3 legendary Evo cards. And then you have your token copies of these, which actually count as your Evo points. So these are your Evo points. They're just kind of like more flavored, right? For Umamusume, and also like harder too. These are the actual like hard card stock, kind of like the tokens. So that's kind of cool, right? Legend Race versus Special Week. So it's very, very flavored for Umamusume. So yeah, this is basically what you get when it comes to the starter deck. These are the unique cards in the starter deck, and I will say I don't think you need these to build a fully competitive Umamusume deck. In fact, I think most decks don't run these, though they're not terrible either. So AOA here is a 2/3 for 2, and she has you can activate her and select an Umamusume following the field and give it +1 defense. If it's a racing follower, give it +2 instead. That's really cool. Give you a nice little +2 health. That's like a permanent buff too. It's not until end of turn, I think. So that's actually pretty sweet. And you also have Riko, which is a 3/2, and she has the opposite ability. So you can activate her, select an Umamusume following the field, give it +1 attack, and if it's racing, give it +2 attack, which is great. And then finally, the legendary card that you get here is a 6-cost 3/5 with Ward, which is pretty sweet, and that has Fanfare, select an Umamusume follower or Umamusume amulet that costs 4 play points or less in your cemetery and put it onto the field. So she just kind of reanimates one of your horse girls, one of your Umamusume. So yeah, pretty cool. And then of course, like I said, these are actually all very, very good legendaries. Because of the fact that they come in the starter deck, I imagine they will be a little bit easier to pick up singles for, but overall, I think this Umamusume starter deck is a very, very good way to start playing Shadowverse, especially if you want to play the Umamusume craft, because it is very, very strong, and this has cards that you just need to play. Most notably the leader here, which you need, but also it's a very, very pretty leader. But also it comes with some great cards as well, like I said, such as Special Week, Tokai Teo, and Silent Suzuka. And the best part about these is, you know, with Special Week aside, these two can actually go into your other competitive Shadowverse Evolve decks if you decide that you don't want to play the Umamusume archetype. But you can be rest assured that Umamusume is one of the top tier decks. Currently, it is like an S tier deck. The downside of the Umamusume is you don't really get any support after this and after the Umamusume set, but it's still really good and stays pretty good for a couple sets. So yeah, this is a great way to play Shadowverse Evolve, especially if you like Umamusume and if you want to play with these characters. So yeah, that's basically the review. Do I recommend it? Yes, I highly recommend it. If you want to play the Umamusume craft, it is pretty easy to just buy this and then just to get the singles that you need to upgrade into a fully competitive deck. Keep in mind that if you're playing an Umamusume deck, all of the cards in the deck have to be Umamusume. So it's pretty easy to like just make the deck and then buy the singles that you need. So you don't have to worry about any other sets or anything like that. But also on the flip side, there are some cards in here that you will find useful for other decks. Notably the 2 legendaries that we spoke of, as well as stuff like your Lamplit. But Lamplit is a card that's just a silver that you can probably pick up on the cheap. So yeah, that's the Umamusume deck. The really big things that you'll be missing out on, like I said, are these 3 cards in particular, as well as the leader. But if you're going to buy singles and you're like, I don't care about this leader in particular, then you can go buy a different leader and all the other singles that you need. Or you can just use this as a good jumping off point, which is what I personally plan to do. So that's the review. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you like the Shadowverse Evolve content. We do weekly Shadowverse Evolve content here on Red Zone Rogue, so you can expect a lot more in the pipeline. The next order of business is opening up a ton of Umamusume booster packs because my case should be arriving soon. And I will also be doing a full deck tech for an Umamusume competitive deck. Let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. And we'll see you next time. Have a good one, everyone.